Or we come to a stop, she sits.
Yep.
Every time I walk from a sit, am I saying heel?
So that's a yes or no answer. In the beginning, you
For a
will
month.
say
You said for a month, okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I am saying it, and I wanted to make sure that that's what I should be doing.
correct at this time.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and if you forgot to say it, it's like
No, I just am saying it, and I'm like, is that what he said I could say for about a month, and it'll, because I can tell with her, eventually it can fall off, I think. But I want to be saying it, and I wanted to double check on that.
correct.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's my preference is to always say it from stationary to motion.
It is?
That's my preference.
Yeah.
But I get clients who go, well, I want to say it every time. So technically, that's why that left leg is so important.
Right.
Because if you've cued heel, now it's started. And if you're moving forward left leg first every time you come from a stop, the heel is still in effect.
Okay.
Until you say break, you do not get to repeat it, technically speaking.
Okay.
But I want her to hear heel 1,000 times and get a concept of what it is.
Connected. Yeah.
Correct. And then you can go to
Cool.
saying it when you need it.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to applying the heel, because some clients are like, oh, I don't need my dog to walk like this all the time, right? And I'll tell them, well, that's part of the rehab, so to speak, is it allows you to practice structure on a regular basis 3 times a day.
Right.
That's the problem with most dogs is that there is no structure, there's no consistent discipline. So they just do whatever they want. But because in Chicago,
No, that's why we paid for this.
yeah.
So
but that's it's very
okay.
common.
No, that's not my.
Where
I'm
people are
not
like,
in that bucket.
I don't need my dog to do that, and I'm like, yeah, but your
No,
dog has
I do
problems.
need my dog to do that. Okay, yeah, resource guarding.
Okay.
I was gonna bring her bed too because essentially what I've trained her so far to do is like your special high value treats are on your bed. She doesn't do it every time. Sometimes she goes to her favorite rug but that's where you can have them. And so that it's like a spot. But I didn't bring her bed, I forgot. But I did bring some things.
Okay, yes, so the resource guarding in her bed, they're very similar. Because it's just teaching her how to disengage, which we're gonna work on today. So what did you bring to work with?
Okay, mask, perfect option. I wanted to make this lifelike, so I'm gonna take my socks off because she will go after my socks. I'm just taking my socks off, thank you very much. And then I brought a park ball that she's been going wild over for like a week.
Okay.
And then a bully stick, which is a high value treat.
Okay.
And then a beef ear. I just didn't know how, because she can, if she's real hyper, she won't want the thing.
Okay. What's in terms of value? What's low to high?
Low, fuck. The bully stick's probably the highest.
Okay.
I would say. I'm trying to also think of like the whale eye, what she. Bully stick, ball, sock. She's still gonna guard all these items. Mask, this, then mask.
Okay. What's your number currently set to on the collar?
55, because she was real excited walking in here with all the smells.
Okay. So
But I think I probably could have gone up.
Okay.
We were on a break.
On your remote, go ahead and go down to 25.
25.
Yeah.
We haven't been here in a while.
And just give the test that here. Okay, cool. So she feels that. I'm gonna distract her.
Yeah, right by my side.
I'm gonna distract her, and then when I tell you to tap, I'm gonna have you tap at 25. Okay?
Okay.
And tap, 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 tap. Go ahead and go to 30. There we go. I'm gonna try it again.
Oops, I just tapped her. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Great. Did I miss it?
Maybe.
Can I let that go?
Tap, 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 You might need to use your foot and you put a little bit of pressure. Tip, tip. There we go. I'm gonna try it again. We're gonna keep it at 30, okay? And then actually just hold it.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Right. Hi. Tip, tip, tip. There we go. Cool. So what I wanted to see here is disengagement can be from anything. Okay, it can be from me, it can be from a squirrel, it can be from her rawhide, it can be from your socks.
Someone coming over at my house, yes.
Correct. Disengagement is simply whatever has your attention right now, let it go.
Yeah.
Okay. So right here, when we do resource guarding, most people think you get the dog the bone, and then come over and piss the dog off, and then use the e-collar. Right. That's not how we do it. What I want to do is go as low as possible. That's what we went down to 25. And I wanted to see when I called her over what number was going to pull her away from me, and she'd go to you. So 25 kind of worked, 30 worked a bit more efficiently, okay? So I want it to be low enough that it disengages her, but not so high that she loses complete interest in whatever it is that's going on. Because then she'll start to notice it's a setup. So like you'll give her a bone, and she'll look at the bone.
She's smart as fuck.
I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull out the ball.
That's pretty high.
Sure, pull out the ball. I'm going to just roll it. And if she goes for it, she can go for it. Yep.
Oh, she's scared of the...
I should grab it.
Okay. Wait, that's Mom. Come get it.
Go get it.
Get your ball, girl. Go get it. Get your ball.
There we go, good girl.
You're such a good girl, Koba.
So let's see what she does with it. Okay. Get your ball.
Question your park ball? Is that your park ball? Let's see.
Okay, so this is not the normal behavior, I'm assuming.
No, she might settle in, but I think she's trying to figure out if, no.
Okay.
Like, this is. Sometimes she likes just to have a ball. She is most comfortable when she has a ball close to her, so that when you walk in the room, she can just make sure that ball is near.
Gotcha. So like let's say
I can walk up and take those balls though. Like that far away, like that. But she's that motion, that muscle memory of like guarding, that's there.
Okay.
That mindset.
Sure. So here, in order to disengage her from something, she doesn't have to actively be engaged with it. So like even that, right? So when we're teaching her to disengage, it's simply surrender or move away from whatever it is that you have. Okay. So the word that most people use is drop it. I use the word out.
We've had in the past, we've used drop it and leave it.
Yeah, so leave it is the preemptive one, right? Like don't go for it. And then drop it is, it's in your...
What works really well for her is trade ya.
So like swapping for like a treat or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, or like if I can disengage her by being like, I'll give it back. And then I take it for like a second, and then I give it back. And then I take it, and like for 2 seconds. And I'm like, see, I give it back.
You know she doesn't understand what's going on, correct?
She totally understands that.
We're gonna simplify it.
Okay.
So the main one
No judgment. You have training in this. Go.
Is drop it. Okay. I don't really do leave it. Because typically when we use leave it, it's usually stuff that we don't want the dog to have, period. Like let's say I see someone walking with their puppy outside and the puppy sees a chicken bone. They're going for the chicken bone. They don't want to say leave it. But for the dog, it means leave it within this moment. But the next chicken bone you see the next block down is technically up for grabs.
Got it.
Until you say leave it.
Yeah.
So what I do is whenever anything is on the ground that the dog has interest in, I would just disengage them with no cue. Because now the dog learns, anytime I see something on the ground, it has no value, because I'm not going to be allowed to get it anyways. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like, let's say you're going to be walking with her and like she's exploring in the grass,
She loves to eat grass.
Yeah, and then you see her start to like, the grass thing is optional, but like let's say, she notices there's like human food. You don't want her to eat it. Well, I wouldn't say leave it. I would just start remoting her until she backs away from whatever the food is. And the next time she goes back, I would tap her. And she's gonna keep thinking every time I attempt to go for the food, the tap happens and doesn't stop until I back away, okay? And if I keep repeating that, she just learns I don't eat crap off the ground.
Say that again, one more time. I was spacing out, I'm sorry.
It's all right. So, you're outside, she's exploring.
Human food,
something you don't want her to have.
You don't say leave it, you just tap it.
Remote it, correct. Now here, I don't really care about the level because I don't care that she eats it at all, right? Because it's just random crap on the ground. So if I remote her at 80 and she goes, "What?" and she runs away from it, I really don't care because I'm never gonna want her to eat any crap off the ground.
Right.
When we do stuff like this, we went down to 30 or 25 to 30 because we care. Right? We're wanting to be able to give her something, she engages with it, and then 20 minutes later I go, "You're done, drop it." And she walks away and I can put it up. But the next time I bring it out, she's not thinking, "Well, last time you blasted me on 80, so I want nothing to do with that."
Right.
Okay? So when it comes to stuff that we don't care about, you don't have to be as nuanced. Okay? It's simply, you're not gonna have that. So, yes, if we can be at like her, what's her normal obedience number, 40 something?
No, you told me on our last one
Was it
we've been
50?
walking at 50 to 55.
And how's that been?
Good, we're at like 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you still having to turn?
Yeah, a little bit. Every once in a while. So when we go to like her favorite, like there's a Roosevelt High School right by, and she gets pulley, I'll turn, like if she gets going ahead of me, I'll turn for a little bit.
Okay.
But not too often.
Okay. I'd go up to 55.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's progressing like it should progress.
How many turns should I, if it's
Should be 0.
at this point?
Yes, it's that quick.
Okay.
Okay. But for you, because like me seeing it, I have a stricter eye,
Yes.
right? And you're like, "Oh, this is so much better."
Right.
And but it has to be to a certain degree. It's not so much like we'll accept 80%. Like we always want as close to 100 as possible. So if you're still turning, albeit not as frequent, you still want to go up a little bit. Okay. So if I go to 55, so next time I see you, if you're like, "Jesse, I turned 1 time this week and I tapped her at 55, and I've not had to turn since." I go, "Great, just stick at 55 then."
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, like, still haven't had to turn, 55 did it. Oh, great, 55 is the number. Okay?
Right. But if I'm having to turn,
Yeah, even if it's infrequent, it's still having to turn.
do I up the number then?
Yes.
Okay.
So at 55.
Yeah, because that's what you said. If you are walking forward and you have to turn, that means your number needs to go up.
Correct, and I go and jump to 5.
Okay.
Okay. So like my guys, I could walk out my front door, walk all the way to the lakefront, walk down the lakefront, walk back, and I don't have to turn, period.
Got it.
Okay, and it's everything that I'm having you do is the same exact thing I did with my dogs.
Right.
Except I just went higher.
Right.
So I found the number where it was like, yeah, we don't want to.
Fuck that.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So here, since she's not engaging with the ball, let's try.
The next highest up
Yeah.
would be the beefier or a
Okay.
sock.
Let's go ear.
I'm doing the sock, Jesse. Just give it to her.
Sure.
She normally doesn't get it with her leash on. Like normally we're in the house.
Okay. Do you have a release word for this?
Like she usually would like just, it'd be fine. If I say like, I'll give it back. Let's move that or something. Let's see.
You can talk to your dog. I'm just letting you know she doesn't understand what's going on.
Okay.
So go ahead and stand up. And one thing that I like about your beef here is that she's not going absolutely crazy for it and jumping at you. So go ahead and stand in the center there.
Okay.
And just move and have your remote ready. Okay. So whenever you bring out anything for her, does she ever like just go for the?
No.
No.
No, she knows to like sit. Like she'll usually drop into like a sit of like, I'm gonna be a good girl.
Okay.
And then she'll take it and run away.
Okay. And then do you give her release when you do give it to her? Like,
No.
Okay.
Usually say take it to your bed.
Okay. So here, tap.
Tap.
Yes. Why do we just tap there?
Because she was reaching for it.
And why would we tap that?
Because we don't want her using her mouth to reach for things.
What else?
Because I didn't have a word, I didn't release it.
Correct. It's yours. Right now, anything that you hold in the home is yours. Okay? So if you pick up a tennis ball.
Fuck, I was gonna bring her food bowl too with food in it, because that's guaranteed resource guarding.
Okay. Well, it's simple.
Okay.
Once you understand, it's just
Okay.
practice.
Okay.
So you bring her with the beef here, right? And what I like is that she does have some respectful boundaries. Because I get clients and the dogs are like, they're like trying to hide it from the dog. So here you came up, you're standing there, we're talking, and then she kind of sneaks over and goes to take it. Correct. So we tap there because you did not release it to her yet. That is your object. Okay? Even if you give it to her, okay, you can have it now, it is still your object. Okay? So then when you release, when you tell her to drop it or whatever your release word's going to be, and she relinquishes it, it is no longer hers. It's yours, and ultimately it's never hers. It's yours, you're just letting her have it for a
I
while.
would say our release word might be take it.
Sure, you can do take it, that's fine.
Okay.
So take it, so if you bring out her favorite thing in the world, she should be just like that, right? So let's say you bring out her beef stick or whatever, and you're walking with it, or your socks, and you're walking with them, and she's like that, she should not care. Because it doesn't matter that you brought out this object until you've told her the cue to take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just don't think that's realistic. Koba will care.
That's what we're gonna teach her to do.
Okay.
Just not care.
Okay.
So the way we teach her not to care is just that. Okay? So, like growing up, if my mom and my dad brought home a big screen TV, okay, I didn't get really excited about it. It wasn't my TV. It's their TV. I'm not gonna get to use it. Okay? So when you bring out that toy, that object, bone, the antler, the beef stick, your socks, whatever, until you tell her take it, there's nothing to guarantee she's gonna have it. But the problem that people create is anytime they bring out something, it's typically a guarantee of you're gonna have it. So if she's like, every time you bring out that beef here, I always get it, that is now a guarantee, now she cares.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we remove the caring by just simple stuff like that. If I bring her ball, her food ball.
How do we know she's not sitting there right now just because the ball's there? Like semi-protecting the ball.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
So then if you thought that was the case, we would remove her from the ball using pressure.
Okay.
Okay, tap again. Tap. Tap. Now she goes maybe to the corner.
Okay.
Like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So right there, and we're gonna put a word to this, okay? We're doing the taps, because I wanna make sure the taps alone are getting her to move away from something.
Disengage.
Correct, okay?
Okay.
So when you had this, she came up, tried to take it, you technically corrected her, and you're telling her this is not yours right now. This is still my possession. You thought, well, maybe she might be guarding that ball, that's why she went over there. So then right there, we corrected her there to get her out of the area. So technically, when we go to approach the object, we shouldn't see anything, okay? But every case is different. So if I go to approach something like the ball, here, we always watch the dog.
Okay.
Okay, what most people tend to do is when the dog might be like away from the object, and then they're like right here, and they're reaching for it, boom, and the dog bites them.
Yeah.
Right, because the dog's staring right at it when they go to reach for it. So that's why we want distance. But there are some dogs where even at a distance, they'll trigger to like fight you for the object, so to speak.
That's not cool.
Okay, so whenever we approach something, always want to watch. So here, like let's say she's panting, she's got a nice open mouth, right? This is all like panting, venting, stress, relaxed state. If I
That's
crouch
relax.
down,
That means relax.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Panting is either venting stress or relaxed state, okay? It can also be if you came back from a hot walk or whatever.
Right.
That's her trying to cool off. So when we reach down for the object, let's say you go down for the object and you've not grabbed it yet, and she just quiets up, right? That's now loading tension.
Yes.
So if I keep going for the object, it may go 0, 1, 2, 5. Okay? So if I crouch down and I notice her close her mouth, I might pause for a second, wait, and then she lets it go and she starts panting again. Then I can grab the object and move away. Okay, because you're watching everything. And I know we get complacent, and it's like, oh, we've never seen this, we've never seen that. Like I was like, just always be a step ahead, because it doesn't mean your dog can't change your mind one day. Right. So if I crouch down like this for the object and I go to reach for it, and you see like right here, she like closes her mouth and she's like looking towards me and she goes back to open mouth, right? I don't go to the next step until I see open mouth again, or I might wait, okay? And then if I have the remote, I can tap to see if it'll disengage her even further. Does that make sense? So here when we go for the object, if it's here and I'm going for it, like I've had clients tell me their dogs will charge from across the room to like take the object from them, which is why we ask for a greater distance. I usually say about 6 to 8 feet, more is perfectly fine. The more distance you command, the less likely we're going to see re-engagement. Okay. I've even had people have a dog completely across the room, bigger than this room, and the dog will still trigger. Another thing that we'll do, we do it here at the facility. I always tell them to assume I tell all my employees, assume every dog here is aggressive, assume every dog here is a resource guard, assume all these things, because it keeps them on their toes. So if I'm in the pen with the dog and I know the dog is not a resource guarder, I always approach it as if they are a resource guarder. Because then one day somebody makes a slip up, they forget, they grab the ball, it's a resource guarder, then they get bit. There's another thing that you can do is when you go to approach the object, is I'll go with my foot first, okay? And I'll hold it like this, because we're less likely to pull back if the dog charges or attempts to go for it. And then if I see nothing, I can roll it back to myself, create more distance, like actually roll it back or move it back, and then pick it up. So I can give more gap there, okay? Questions on any of this stuff so far? So go ahead with your beef ear. Go ahead and approach Koba. Right, and then just relax your hand. Tell her, take it.
Take it, Koba. Take it. Take it. Here you go.
Try dropping it. Then step away.
There you go.
So this is the thing about resource guarding, is what? Once you put in taps, dogs tend to lose interest. Because everything's fun and games until there's rules. Does that make sense? So this is why resource guarding is such a pain in the ass to work with, unless the dog has really good drive for something, like balls, tug, raw bones, something that they just go absolutely crazy for. Is there anything like that?
Can we take her leash off?
Sure. So here, before you take her leash off, what would we want to do?
Walk up and get the do what you said, watch the dog. Or move her.
Yes. Right, because even though she didn't take it, right, that ear is right in the middle of her 2 front paws right there. And you're just going to remove her leash, but she doesn't know that. So you always want to assume your dog is going to do the thing you don't want them to, okay? So like here, even though she's not holding it, you can still say drop it, because it really just means relinquish the object and move away, okay? So go into cue, drop it.
Just say it and Nick, or?
Drop it first, then the tabs, okay?
From here?
Correct.
Drop it.
Tap. Wait a moment. Tap. Wait a moment. She's got to figure this out. This is a little confusing for her.
Okay.
Tap. 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 Bump it. 5 levels. Right.
What?
I said right. As in like, yes, this is what we're looking for. Good. Right. Now, when you disengaged her, I saw something happen 2 times.
What?
Well, that's what I'm gonna ask you.
Oh, I don't know. I lost it. I wasn't watching her. What?
What?
She went back.
And what else?
And she went to the ball.
What else?
She looked at me.
And she looked at something else.
You?
No.
This?
Oh.
What? The
The
beef
ear.
ear. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what does that tell you?
I don't know.
she's potentially a little bit engaged.
Yeah, she's not sure if she wants to leave it for sure yet.
Correct, right? So if she's not sure if she wants to leave it, she's still in possession mentally.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason
Now
why,
I should take her leash off?
yes, now you can remove the leash.
Here we go. That will make her feel more at home.
So then here, let's see what happens.
Just the fuckers are
I know, she's trying to figure it out, but she went straight to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. But I'm pointing all this stuff out because we tend to like forget things, right? So if I know I have a resource guarder and she has something in between her paws, even though she's not chewing on it or anything like that, I want to assume she's probably going to guard it, thinking I'm going to go for it. Okay. Now, just so you know, this technically is not allowed.
I would, right.
Right? Why is that not allowed?
I mean, this is still the potential for a setup of guarding.
Yes.
And I didn't say take it.
Correct. So drop it is still in effect, technically speaking. Drop it means relinquish what you have and it's no longer yours. So if you told her to drop it and she walked across the room and
That's
you left
great.
it on the ground for the next 5 hours, it's off limits. Does that make sense?
Off limits in that she can't sit like that? Or
That she can't go near it. And technically speaking, it's off limits where she can't go in and engage with it, right, or chew on it. But if you know this is already a part of her behavior of possession, then yes, this also is not allowed, okay?
anything that's part of that.
Yes,
Okay.
so I let it slide so that I can explain this. So like, let's say you told her drop it, she relinquished it, she walked across the room, you leave it there for 2 hours, right? Then she walks over and she tries to lay down next to it, you don't need to say drop it, you would just tap again. And then she goes, oh, and she walks away. And she's like, mom said drop it, I had to relinquish it. Time passed, I went back for it, and I still got tapped. So it's completely off limits until you hear the words, take it.
Okay.
Okay? So, and we don't repeat drop it, we don't say no, we don't say anything, you simply just remote the moment you see her going to take possession of the object again.
Okay.
Okay? So go to cue drop it.
Just say it in Nick.
Drop it first, then Nick.
Drop it.
Okay. Then wait and see what she does. She goes and sits right there. Go ahead and stand up.
Yeah.
What?
This is another, the ball's right here too.
Potentially.
Okay.
So if you wanted her to go further, right, what would you have to do?
Just Nick again.
Correct. So go ahead and tap. And she's gonna get a little confused here because of
She
obedience.
thinks it's by me.
Yep, that's okay. She's gotta figure it out. There we go. Wait a second. Tap again. Tap. 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 Bump at 5.
We're at 40.
Tap. Tap. There we go. Wait a second.
Sorry, I tapped it again.
No, it's fine. Right there. Tap. 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 Wait. Tap. 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 Wait. There. Okay.
This is where I have to go to stop being tapped.
Right. So you being still helps out a lot because we tend to want to move, and it draws the dog more to you. Okay. So you tapped her, she came to your side, you kept tapping, that didn't work. Went to the corner, kept tapping, that didn't work. And then immediately went over there. But then she's like, nah, I don't want to be over here, I want to be over here. And you start tapping again, back over there, tapping again, and finally she's like, I'm gonna try this spot again because pressure turned off. And then, but she still came a bit forward, right? Because she went all the way to the corner and then forward. If she really got it, she would have went all the way to the corner and sat right there. Just like she went all the way to that corner and sat right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So go ahead and you're gonna stand up again, and you're gonna approach the ball coming this way so that you're facing Koba, and you're watching. So, what did you do incorrectly there?
I was watching her. I don't know.
I look like you put your head down like this and picked it up.
No, I was looking at her.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. So when we crouch or go down for it, I suggest you go like this.
Instead of this.
Correct. Okay. Pick it up. Tap. Tap. Hold. Tap. Tap. Wait a second. There. So we wait for her to settle, so to speak. Okay. So if she went off and she went back here, but was standing, what does that tell you?
Tap.
Yes, still engaged, right? And you might create confusion where it'll draw her to you again. Then you keep tapping, and then so she figures it out.
Oh, I don't fuck this up at
Oh,
home.
wait.
It's gonna be
You're
hard.
gonna be fine. It's easy. Okay. So go ahead and put that all with the bully stick.
Oh, put it away?
Yep. So we can remove a variable because
Right.
since it was there, we don't know, like you said, is she guarding the ball too, or is she not
Right.
carrying? So if I haven't had anything, pulling out the picture, we don't need to worry about it.
Okay.
So now you need to go and grab your
I'm
picture.
still at 40.
Mhm.
Okay. Grab this.
Mhm.
Do the old Jesse pickup.
There you go.
Okay.
Right? Good. So all this is to set you up to succeed. Okay. It may seem like,
No, I know.
but trust me, you don't want to get bit.
No, I don't want to get fucking bit.
So, is this making sense so far?
Yes.
So for drop it, you don't have to be right in her business. You could be completely across the room.
I can be sitting on the couch and she can be on her bed. I can still tap her on her bed
Mhm.
and it can be drop it. And then she'll have to move her bed, even though her bed has been a place where she normally like goes for respite.
Well, she doesn't have to move her bed, but you mean move off her bed?
If she's got one of these, yeah.
Yeah. So you say drop it, right? She's on her bed chewing it. She would spit it out, leave her bed. You'd go, grab the object, put it away, and she could go back to her bed again because now you removed the object.
But what if, like, I don't have all my socks always away. I mean, I stay on top of it, but it's like, is that a step where it's like her going to get my friend comes over, they drop their mask, she's not getting attention, she picks up their masks and take it and does her thing with it, and then it comes to the guarding?
Well, for the socks, there's this thing called a dresser.
Yeah, I know.
Technology is crazy.
No, I am tidy. No. I am a tidy mother effer. And she still gets socks every once in a while.
Okay. Where is she getting these socks? Like the dirty laundry? Maybe you drop when you're bringing
I'll
out
be doing
laundry.
yoga and I take my socks off and she'll come over and grab a sock.
Mm. So what I would do is before you do yoga, because if you can predict when these things are going to happen, I set her up with the collar preemptively. Okay, so like before you do your yoga, 15 minutes prior, slap that collar on her, right? So then you're doing yoga, you have a remote right there, and then when she sees you not looking and you hear her walking over, start tapping. And now here,
there's no take it or drop it.
correct. Why?
Because it's not anything for her to have.
Yes, that is correct, right?
I'm not giving her it.
Correct. So we only, technically speaking, take it and drop it are for things she would, you willingly give her, right? So things for like the sock, if you said drop it, the way her brain works is drop it means drop it this time, but then the next time she sees her socks, she's gonna grab it and you have to say drop it again, right? But you wanna teach her, my socks are off limits
All the
permanently,
socks.
all the time, exactly. So if she goes for the socks and you tap her with no warning, no word, she's gonna think, what? And it doesn't matter if I see socks on the ground, because I'm gonna just get corrected for it. So there's no point in trying to get the socks.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say drop it, she can technically have the socks until you say drop it.
Got it.
Okay, that's how a dog brain works. Okay, so that's why we always talk about elimination and control. Right now we're doing control. Take it, drop
Got
it.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Elimination would be you don't do it, period.
Okay.
Okay? Let's try the bully stick.
Oh boy. Okay, what do I do, Jesse?
So go ahead and call her over
Come here, Koba.
and just hold it. Okay? Remember, there was no permission. Okay?
Normally I do let her give it to her this way, that's why I feel bad, but she's learning a new way.
Until you say take it.
Okay.
Okay?
Come here, girl.
Try crouching. And then, yep.
Come here. Go get your bully stick. Come on.
Okay. Bye.
It's because I'm going to tap her again.
It's okay.
Oh, God.
What's going on? What's that? What's that? I know, Mom's mean. Wait a sec. Tip. Because there was no take it. Right?
She's going to hate bully sticks.
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, for a little bit. Remember, everything's all fun and games until there's rules. Okay? Now, go ahead and walk towards her.
I had to close my eyes for those taps.
And you crouch. Right? Now you're gonna say, right, don't pull it away. You saw what you did there, don't pull it away. Yep. Right. Wait a second. Yeah, you're gonna just stay where you're at. Good. And now you're gonna say, take it.
Take it.
And then relinquish. And then you're gonna walk away. Ain't so hard. See?
That's hard for me.
There you go.
Look at her. Look
She
at
looks
her
like a
pathetic.
hillbilly with like one of those.
Cigars. Or like the cigar smoking poker playing.
So, I don't care that she approached you. I care that she approached you and put her mouth on it. Okay? Even smelling, I would correct. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's why my dogs don't learn. Okay? Because there's too many freedoms there. It's just a bully stick. It's my bully stick. I'm the one that paid for it. She doesn't know that you paid for it and you're giving it to her out of the kindness of your heart because you love her. Okay? She's just like finders keepers. That's dog mentality. Okay? And then she's also willing to like fight for it.
Yeah.
Right? Or guard it, whatever. So now that you've told her to take it, it would be unfair to randomly just remote her. That's when we have the crew drop it. So if you said drop it and she got up and walked away before you even tapped,
That's great.
we're great. Yeah, we're cool. We don't have to do anything. Now because we're empowering your words. Drop it means relinquish it. If not, I'm going to tap you and I'm going to make you relinquish it. Okay? So that's why we did the healing stuff first because it helps teach her that the tap is nothing to be like afraid of. The tap
Yeah,
is
that
just
makes sense.
clear communication.
Yeah.
And there's a means of avoiding it. And here it's simply drop it or I'll tap you. That's how I look at all my obedience. Because people tend to do Q, 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 or Q warning, then consequence.
Yeah.
Right? Like drop it, Koba,
Oh, I totally do that.
and then remote. Right? So that's technically Q, warning, consequence. So now she learns that sequence.
Right.
So for me, the warning is the command.
Right.
Right? Drop that or I'll tap you.
Right.
Like me growing up, it was like wash the dishes or you're grounded.
Right.
You know, like that's how I was raised. My mom always used to say like, that's not a request.
Right.
I'm not asking you.
Right.
Right? It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
So when you give her something, and it's great with stuff that she can have for a period of time. Okay? So like let's say her bully sticks, if you want to give her a raw bone, whatever, you would give it to her, decide your time frame, I'm gonna give that to you for 10 minutes. And then she chews on it and 10 minutes pass, drop it, tap, she walks away, she relinquishes it. You can either test her by leaving it there to see if she revisits, or you can just go pick it up and put it away, okay? Or put it somewhere where she can see it to test her still, because now you just moved it, so it kind of resets the brain.
Okay.
Okay, and I do this, does she have toys in the house that are just like left out?
Sometimes.
Okay, I put all those things away.
They're in a basket that she has access to.
Can she take them out whenever she wants?
Yes.
That's why we don't do that. Because it empowers her, it gives her other things. And you might say like, well Jesse, she's never guarded those things. I go, it doesn't matter. It's, everything that we give the dog is a privilege. Okay, because if everything is a right, then we develop problems.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not doing this to be mean, I'm doing this because there's a problem, and you've hired me to fix this problem.
I know.
And it also gives more value to things that you give her. You know, like some of my guys, you know, when they were growing up, everything was put away, you know, with puppies and stuff, because people always complain about puppies. They're like, oh, the puppy, like, I have all these toys, and they, instead of chewing on toys, they chew on my shoes. I go, right, because you put away your shoes, right? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, what happens when your puppy chews on your shoes? I take it from them. And then they start barking at me. I'm like, yeah, because it's a limited resource. There are toys around all the time. So if we put those things away, and we have 20 toys, every time I pull out something for my puppy, I'm rotating what it is. It's not always available to them, so the value of it goes up. So now the puppy is actually excited to see these things. And now they're not worried so much about your shoes. So same thing here, if we have a resource garter especially, we always put things up. Okay, same thing when dogs are coexisting within the home. I always tell everybody, if you bring a new dog home, put everything away, all the food bowls, all the toys, all the bones, all the antlers, put all that stuff away. Because you don't know if they're gonna get in a fight over resources. Like that's something that we build up to, and in some cases it just doesn't work, okay? So all this puts you at an advantage. Because then if you bring out her toy for her, and she's like, oh, my toy, she runs over, tap, and she tries to go for it. So now again, you're reinstilling that rule of
Practicing.
yes, this is my stuff, and I'm giving it to you, and I may tell you to give it back at some point, right? And I'm not saying to do this all the time. You could give her a bully stick, and then let her finish it. Let her have the whole stick. We don't do any kind of drop it. But then other times, I have her drop it. Or maybe I have her drop it, and then I pick it up, and then I offer it back to her.
With the take it.
And exactly. So we're not creating a fixed pattern of every time I say drop it, you always have to lose it.
Right.
You at some point you'll give it back and then take it back, or at other points you'll give it to her and let her finish it off, or take it back and give it back to her, let her finish it off. Okay? You're doing all these things, so she's like, oh, okay, cool. Like if mom says drop it, like I spit it out, but sometimes I get it back. And or sometimes I get it back and my mom lets me finish it and have the win. Okay? So we're trying to balance out the training because we're doing a balance of positive and negative. There's your negative and there's your positive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like here, if you wanted to go for that object, would you just go for it?
Normally I would, but I think what you would tell me is to tap her to move her out of the space.
And you want to cue it, right? So drop it to us means spit out what's in your mouth, okay?
But I disengage.
Correct.
So I would say drop it and then tap.
Correct.
And she would hopefully move.
Yes.
And if she moves before drop it, I don't have to tap. If one day.
Technically, right. But that's why we always watch. So like, let's say it's a good question. Let's say she left it alone. She goes from there all the way over there, and she's facing this direction, and you're like, oh, that's like 30 feet away. And you go ahead and walk over there, and remember the whole thing I showed you?
Yeah.
All that is because you don't know if she would re-engage right there.
So you still say drop it.
Potentially. Okay? So that's why if I go to approach the bone and she's over there, as I'm approaching, if she stands up and does this, what does that tell me?
She's engaged.
Correct. Drop it. Disengage. Then I can go for the object.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why I do the step by step, because, you know, that was a really good question. Like what happens if she's self-relinquished and walked away, but mentally she can still be engaged and staring from across the room.
Right.
But our assumption is, oh, she's all the way over there, she's not going to care. And then we go for it, and then we potentially have conflict right there.
Okay. So I should say
Yes.
drop it.
Okay. 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 Right. And then you would go for it. So you can. And you want to be looking at her. Right? There's a flinch. Did you see it?
Yeah, her.
Yes. So when you see that flinch,
That would have been a tap.
tap. Tap. Wait a moment. Tap. Right. Let her figure it out. That's fine. Turn still away from her. And then you move away. Okay? So when she flinched, that's where you pause.
That's where I pause.
Correct.
Or
Why else would she flinch? Right? Because when you approach the bully stick, you're now a competitor.
so that pause was that.
Well, for you, yeah. So, because if you're approaching...
Did I pause?
No.
Okay.
You just did one smooth sequence.
Okay.
So that's why you're watching her. So as you're approaching, right when you came about here, this happened. And that's where I would pause. For you, right? And go, do I need to disengage you some more?
Like Nick.
Right, and tap without cueing anything because you're just reinforcing the initial drop it. Maybe she gets up and she walks over there. And then you come around, because you always want to be facing her, come around, see any changes, pick up the bone, back up, and then go to put it away. Okay, so then when you picked it up, what happened?
She came by, she re-engaged.
Yes.
She wasn't sure she wanted me to pick it up.
Correct.
She didn't want to lose the opportunity of it being on the floor.
Right, because if she was completely disengaged, she would have not went over in the first place.
Right.
But I already saw that because of the flinch, okay? But that's why it's so important to, every time you pick up something, to watch her. When you see a shift, you stop. So if you've been crouching and she flinched, I don't keep going for it. Because now you're just keeping things going. You're just keeping the sequence moving. So if she goes to flinch and all of a sudden it's like, no, I want that, she charges over there, it's because you kept the movement. So by pausing, her brain should not go to the next step. So dogs are on or off. Let's say she's got a bone. Oh, actually, it went viral. It was a video with two dogs fighting behind a fence. Have you seen that? It's an electronic moving fence, okay? And there's two dogs on one on each side. And when the fence is closed, they're going crazy. They're fighting. And then when the fence opens, they stop.
It's because part of the sequence of the fight is the closed door gate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
In their environment.
So they're either on or off.
Yeah.
So when the gate was closed, they were on. As soon as the gate opened, they were off. It's literally night and day.
Yeah.
So for her, if she's got a bone, if I go to reach for the bone, she's on. And the moment I get out of that threshold, she's off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here, when you're moving towards the object, if she goes on or like flickers, and you keep going, she's gonna keep going. So then you're gonna see the next thing. But if I go to pick up something and I see the flinch, I don't continue for it. I would tap, disengage her, and then pick up the bone once I see she's settled.
I might need these instructions in writing this week. It's gonna be hard. This is hard to practice.
It's not hard to practice, it's just
hard to remember.
a few steps.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you remember?
I remember you make her take it, and she only gets it when you say that, or else you nick. And then you nick when you say drop it, and then you nick to get disengaged, essentially, in a full disengagement. And then you look at the dog when you pick it up.
Yes.
And you put it away.
Correct.
Essentially.
Or give it back.
Or give it back.
And then repeat if you do, right? Rinse and repeat.
So we could do it again.
Yes.
Because I don't want her to not like bully sticks.
No, that's fine. So in the beginning, you're gonna see a dip in drive. It's normal, because remember, it's all fun and games until there's rules.
Yeah.
Okay? So in the beginning, like let's say the next 2 to 3 days, you try to give her the bully stick, and she just wants nothing to do with it, right? So go ahead and bring it on over.
Like up to her? And then, do I say it?
Wait. That's good. Now take it,
Take it.
and then give.
Take it.
There we go. And then we walk away. Okay?
Got it.
So let's say here, you told her take it, she could have it. 30 minutes goes by, and that's all she does. Okay? Because she's like, nuh-uh. But you want it back now, because you put her on a timer. You said, I was going to give you 30 minutes, but you've not touched it, and the time's up. You would still do drop it. Okay? You still have to move her from the space, even though she didn't engage with it at all.
Okay.
And we'll repeat that. And you might go 3 to 4 days, 5 days, before finally she's like, boy, I'll give it a little try.
So she gets a beef here every morning, so we can practice this really easy.
How fast does she eat the beef here?
Fast.
So this
10 minutes.
This would be something you want to work on.
Which you can do once, essentially, right? Like
At least, yeah, something that'll last you a bit. Like if you know a bully stick like that will last her 15 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes in, you can release her and then put up the rest of it and let her one day just have it, right? Or you just give it back to her within the moment. Go, okay, you can finish it now.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's something that quick where she's gonna eat it within a second, not a second, but like a minute or so, probably not worth.
Right, the practice.
Yeah.
But still take it but still take it then, right? Like when I go, like say I'm just giving her a treat. I like am cutting up an apple. Take it.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was getting my words flip-flopped. Yes. So at least practice to take it so she can also, you're balancing out the trust. right? Because it's going to create a little bit of distress where she's like, is this going to be one of those stupid games, right? You're like, no, this is take it, you can have it, right? Whether it's an apple or a carrot or her beefier thing, whatever, that's perfectly fine. But she will learn to differentiate between the different objects, though. So, like when you give her the bully stick, she's going to know the bully stick is something that
I nick her for.
Exactly, or the ball or whatever it is. But it's all part of the process.
So if she takes a sock off the laundry basket without a take it,
just remote.
Just nick.
Yes.
And she should leave it, and I don't have to drop it. Just leave it and disengage. Yeah, there's no commands. She's not supposed to fucking have it.
Correct.
Okay.
I was just getting confused because you were saying leave it.
Why? What else would I?
No, you wouldn't say anything, but I was just getting confused because I thought you were saying the word leave it.
Got it.
Yeah, but you meant she should leave it, and then,
Yes.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Okay, so like right here, right? Like she doesn't want anything to do with the bully stick. And this is why we went low. We went to 25, and now we're at 40. You can go down to 25 now. So let's say every day you give her, or attempt to give her a bully stick, or a ball, or a robot, anything that you know she'll have for a period of time. And some days she takes it, some days she doesn't. That's why resource guarding takes such a long time. Okay, it's because of all those things. Like you can only repeat it so many times, otherwise she'll lose complete interest.
Well, how many times should I be practicing this with
Just
her?
like once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah. You can't drill it out. It's not like the heel, right? The heel you would just keep walking. Here, there's no means for her to keep walking. It's if you relinquish that object, and then she's like, well, I don't want it anymore because it's stupid. Like that's why it takes longer.
So this will be interesting when we work on how this transforms to like we're touch on the couch and touch on the bed.
Oh.
Because she's resource guards, though.
So,
I think she resource guards.
What you would use for there is the word, I mean, technically you could use drop it, right? Because drop it means disengage. But otherwise you can also use the word move. So that's why teaching disengagement is important. So like let's say, and you would do this outside the context of the problem, okay? Let's say you invite her up on the couch by cue. Whatever your cue word is, up, couch, whatever. Come on. And then 15 minutes later, you go move, and you remote her to clear her off the space, okay? So that later on, fast forward a few months, she's on the couch, and you're like, she's probably gonna resource guard that couch. Move. Boom. So, just remember, on or off. If she's on the couch, we can assume she's gonna guard the couch. If I say move, she's not on the couch, there's no longer anything to guard. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So like the fence thing. Fence is closed, they're fighting, fence is open, they stop fighting. On or off, okay? So, what's nice about this is that you can plan around it, okay? Now let's say she's on the couch and you're like, crap, I want to sit on the couch, but I don't have the collar on her, right? What would be a Band-Aid fix for the moment?
What I would do for that is give the off cue and get a treat.
Yes, correct. Redirect her, right? I don't care how you go about it. It's just removing her off of the object, right?
Sometimes I tell her, Koba, go to your bed, and she'll jump off and go to her bed.
That works too, okay? The issue is if we give a cue and we cannot make it happen. That's the problem.
Sometimes that happens too.
Yes.
Where I'll say off and she
won't. Correct.
Because she knows she wants a treat.
Correct. That's where that comes into play.
So you put this sucker on her, you cue off or move, doesn't matter. They're both the same essentially. And Nick, she doesn't get off Nick. She doesn't get off Nick, bump it 5. She jumps off, she comes.
And then watch what she does. So she jumps off,
and like still kind of
turns around and goes to look at the couch.
Nick.
Right. Until she gives space. And then you go and you position, you sit down or whatever. And then you can always call her back. Koba, come back, right? And it's typically different. So if Koba's on the couch and I try to sit there, she can guard it because she's already established it, right?
Like I come home from work, she's on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's her space.
So if you remove her, you go on the couch and then you invite her up. We technically shouldn't see anything because you were in possession of it first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's say I'm sitting down and I have my dog Lexi, and a dog just enters. She will guard me from that dog.
Right.
Okay. However, if I either keep her out the context and invite that dog in and pet them, she can't guard me. Or if I invite that dog into my space, she won't guard me.
How do you invite that dog in? Like, come here.
I call him over. Correct.
And
As opposed
she
to.
gets it.
Correct. So, because most people, like if you just crouch down, most dogs, social dogs will just kind of come up to you.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's an instant response. So here, if I'm like laying there and like, all right, come on dog, get over here, and the dog hops up next to me or comes to me or what have you, there should be no guarding, technically speaking, because I invited that energy in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I'm controlling the situation and my dog respects my authority, we shouldn't see any issue there. Okay? So knowing how their brains work allows you to just always put yourself in a position where you can either avoid the problem or set it up so that you can control it and practice what we're teaching her so that, it's like if I go up to the couch and I tell Lexi move, she just hops off and I sit down.
Right.
She doesn't guard it. I just don't want to have to like push her off the couch.
Right.
I just like move and she clears it and I sit down.
Yeah.
It's my couch. But that's the whole intention of all this repetition stuff. Okay? And this is why it takes so long, because you have to repeat it several times before she's, because one day without the collar, you would like her to just get off the couch.
Right.
Right? Because you're within the home. That is a realistic expectation because it's within the home. Outside, there's a lot of stimuli, dogs, people, scents, skateboarders and all that stuff that you have more to contend with.
Yeah.
Which is why we use the collar.
How do we find the working number for this?
You would start low. So like let's say you give her the bully stick. 10 minutes in you decide that's enough. You're at 25. You go drop it. She's chewing on it. You're tapping at 25. 3 taps, 30. Tap it. 3 taps, 35. Keep going up. You hit 40. Spits it out. Walks away. Right? Because since it's something that she can have for a period of time, like if you try it with her beefier, what can happen sometimes is the dog will actually speed up.
Okay. Gotta get this done before Mom practices.
Yeah, so you want to use something that she can't ingest very quickly. Okay,
Yeah.
so
There's some of the beefiers are real big and will last longer, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. So then you're kind of going, kind of like what we did in the beginning, resetting it, the number going down lower, working it back up until you find the appropriate walking number. And then here, same thing, I would have you probably start about 25 and then work your way up until you see her disengage. You'll probably see her speed up sometimes, that's normal. If you see that, don't go like Koba, because that's what most people try to do, right? Where the dog starts to chew faster. You just keep going up in the collar. But like, let's say you have to go to 80, and she finally spits it out after trying to speed up. What do you think might happen?
She won't want it.
Yeah, right? But it'll be a few days, and then you give it that, and you just keep, one day, again, keep repeating. Take it. And she's like, I don't want to get hit at 80. All right, well then don't have it. But I'm giving you 10 minutes. Then a week passes. Take it. Sure. And she just starts to chew on it. Okay? But she would most likely disengage for a while because of the harsher hit, but because she sped up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So now what time is it?
2:54.
Oh, okay. So now I should do the drop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're at 25 now?
I'm at 25 now.
Okay.
Drop it. Oh, what a rude way to wake up.
All right, yep. Wait a moment.
Just like this corner was good before.
Now, how do you feel about this?
This is fine, but look, she's gonna watch it.
Okay, so what would you want to do here?
Tap.
Yes.
Or I can watch her and see if she.
You always want to push for more.
Okay, so tap.
Yep.
She's disengaged, but we'll see if she re-engages.
Yeah.
Because if she just totally disengages like this, then you just go pick it up, right?
So go ahead and stand up, and then you're gonna move towards the object. You're gonna keep an eye on Koba. So she's just observing, right?
Can I pick it up?
Then you're gonna crouch first, right? Then you're gonna reach for it, right? Then you grab it, and then you stand up, like that. Okay? So here, you can see where she's a bit, there she goes, and then she lets it go. And then does she run over?
Yeah.
Good. But this is fine. This was respectful. Like she came over, but she's not like, you know, like if you had it down and she went for it again, we would.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Questions on any of this?
No.
So, at least once a day with an object that she can chew on or whatever.
All toys go up. It can be practiced with this or a big beef fair really is what we're starting with. Or if we get a new toy. Right?
Yeah, anything, you know her better than I do. Anything that you know she may guard, you would have her pre-set up with the collar. Okay? If it's, unless it's like you're gonna give her the beef ear to let her just have and ingest, it's perfectly fine. But I need, like, when you're gonna do yoga, have her collared up in anticipation of, and I'd probably be higher there. Because it's your socks. We don't want her to go for your socks, period. So you could be as high as 100 if you wanted for that.
I don't know if I can do that, Jesse.
Okay, well.
You're like, just get there.
I don't care what the number is, but it has to be enough that, again, it stops and then deters her.
Yeah.
Okay? You can also just set her up to fail and just like leave some socks out. You know?
That's easy to do.
Whenever if you have friends come over and they drop, you know, their mask, and tell them drop it on purpose.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that they're doing it intentionally. She just knows, oh, there it is. Boom.
And then she runs and takes it, and I just make sure the collar's on and nick.
Correct. And then she doesn't have to actually take it. If it drops and you already see this, boom.
Before she even gets there.
Because then she's thinking, man, I can't even think about
often
that.
what happens is I'll be out of the room or like it'll happen and she'll like see it and then I'll find her with it and she'll be like,
Okay. Well, if she's already got the collar on,
right.
you would just, the moment you acknowledge it, you would just start tapping. We would not say drop it because we don't want her to ever have.
Right, she's not allowed
Masks.
in
Yep.
possession of it. Where do you want the next one? This is 3 of 9. This one was.
The next one will most likely be recall,
At the park?
which is common called. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll check in on the resource guarding. This
Maybe
is
in
going to
the
be our
hall.
process.
Maybe, okay.
Recall. If resource guarding is still going well in the home, you keep practicing.
Okay.
Next thing would be like stationary control with like the placemat there. We check on things, and if you're like, hey, like she guards, she's more worse at guarding in the house, and it's harder to get her to disengage. Like, okay, now we can do it in the house. You know, but I want you to apply things so that we know whether or not we need to. Because I've shown up and it's like nothing's happening. I'm like, well, this is like a waste of a class.
I know. I understand.